Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome to my channel. This is My Twisted Life of Poetry. I am Poetry and this is a My Twisted review. Has to do with the Broadway musical, The Bodyguard. This is based off of the movie that Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner starred in, Bodyguard. Y'all may remember this image there. So yeah, the Fox Theater has this Broadway series, and I like theater, so I go to the theater a lot. I like plays, movies, TV shows, as y'all can see. So we went to the theater last night, myself, my mom, and my friend Mocha. We got season passes, so we get The Bodyguard, The King and I, School of Rock, On Your Feet, which is a Gloria Estefan musical, Hamilton, and The Color Purple, all within the season pass. I went to go see Color Purple in New York last year, but I want to see it again. I want to see who they're going to have filling for Jennifer Hudson's spot. But onto The Bodyguard, they had Deborah Cox. She's a R&B singer from back in the 90s, early 2000s. She kind of fell off. Wasn't sure why her career fell off because I thought the girl could sing. But watching this musical last night, it would give me a great understanding. Now, I still think that she can hold a tune. Don't get me wrong there. Deborah Cox got some pipes. But I don't know what the heck she was doing in this doggone musical. So let me get started. In my season pass, the ticket only cost me 25 bucks. If I had to pay the regular ticket price, which was $75, I would have been pissed the hell off because of how bad this production was for me. It was clear that this was a white production, and anybody who goes to see the theater that's put on by black people, directed and produced by black people, compared to something that's directed and produced by the average white person, you can clearly tell the difference when it comes to music and choreography. This production, like so much so, the dances were so mundane. They changed a few of the storyline, which that didn't bother me at all because honestly, I hated the movie. I am a person that did not like Bodyguard the movie, but I love the soundtrack, and since this was a musical, I was going there for the musicality of it all. But they didn't do many songs from the movie or from the soundtrack. They did, I think, 3 songs from the soundtrack. The rest of the music they had in this was Whitney Houston songs that she wrote way before the movie came out and way after the movie came out. I was like, how did they get the legal right to put all the Whitney Houston music in this doggone musical that don't have nothing to do with The Bodyguard? That threw me off. But Deborah Cox, as playing Rachel Marin, her acting wasn't bad. It was her singing. When she got to the songs, she was so breathy. It's if she was like, had just ran a marathon, or she was having an asthma attack. Actually, you know what? When people cry and they trying to sing through tears, you know, you go to church sometimes, you hear people crying, they feel in the spirit and they crying, or they at a funeral and they trying to cry, sing through the song, they crying. And that's what she sounded like she was doing on every song. Every song that they played had a tempo that was 2 paces slower than the original track, so it threw off the melody, so it made everything so melancholy feeling as far as the music was concerned. How you gonna Queen of the Night and dance with somebody? How you slow those down so they sound sad? I didn't get that. But they when she sung, and no, that's the wrong song. I was gonna say, and I'm telling you, she sung, I have nothing if I don't have you. That's how she was sounding. That's just not how I'm sounding. I'm not trying to imitate, or I'm just that bad. No, she sounded like that when she sung last night. She was talking through the song. When she did the song, the Dolly Parton song, she couldn't even hit the notes. You know, there's some notes that aren't that freaking high, but you know, you need a little range, which Deborah Cox has, and she could not hit the note. She just kept cutting off. There was a scene in the movie where She was doing one of her own doggone songs, I'm assuming. It opened up and everybody turned around like, what song was this? There's so much music in The Bodyguard. Why you need to introduce a song that don't nobody know? And it's not that bad that nobody didn't know it. It was just that while she was singing it, the song was good. It was not a good, I don't know what the freak that song was. But while she was singing it, she kept on trying to hold the mic out to the audience. Boo! Don't nobody know the words to this. Don't nobody know this song. We all looking like, what song is this? And Deborah Cox had some funky little thing going on her wrist. She kept doing this through the whole show. Like she had an affliction going on. But it's like she was trying to, it was no shade. It was like you could tell she did choreography, or she learned choreography from a very, from a gay man who's very flamboyant with his style. And that's what was coming across in her. It was almost like watching a drag show. And she was so, but only with one hand, that one hand. Even when she was talking to her son in the movie, she kept on patting his shoulder, she kept on flicking her hand like that. I was like, maybe she got a contagious, but no, that was her. That was just something that, maybe it's a nervous tick. She seemed like she did not want to be part of this cast. That's how I read Deborah Cox. There was a young lady who was playing her sister Nikki, singing. She was singing. The songs had no life. I used to watch X Factor New Zealand, and on the show, everybody stood still. Have you ever seen Jaheim perform? Jaheim stands in one spot with his beautiful voice, and he just sings from that one spot. He makes no expression. He doesn't really walk around the stage. He doesn't try to fill the crowd. That's how every performance was going, with the exception of it reflected in their tone as well. So, like I say, Jaheim could stand there, and it's like, it comes through. Because his voice that doggone good, he's still able to carry it off, but it makes his performance boring. This made their sound boring as well. So there was one point during the whole musical that, like I said, the character Nikki got into her songs. She was singing a Whitney Houston song as part of her performance, and she started getting into it. She got out of that loose stance and she started feeling it, and she was, and her voice just transcended. From that point on, Nikki was the bomb. So the next time that Deborah Cox came out and sang, you could tell that Deborah was like, okay, y'all was feeling Nikki on that one, let me go ahead and do my thing. And Deborah did her doggone thing for that one song. And then she came back down and she went back to the same, it was almost like after intermission, they said, no, you can't get too black on stage right now. Don't do that. Bring that back down. It was, I always like to bring up other TV shows and movies, but remember in Dreamgirls, they didn't want Jimmy Early to have too much soul. You had to be one way because you didn't want to scare the white audience. That's what it seemed like Deborah Cox was instructed to do during this performance, and I just did not understand, because she is such a beautiful freaking singer. I didn't understand it all. So the next time they came out, Nikki and Rachel Byrne, the characters, were singing a song together, and Nikki was blowing Deborah out the water. It was at one point, Deborah just stopped singing it. It was like, I'm fed up with this. That's what it seemed like. Like when you could feel what the performer on stage is feeling, that makes a bad performance. And I'm such a judgmental person that I look at that. I look for the person's interaction, because I want to feel what they feeling when they on the stage. Like if you ever seen Maxwell perform, Maxwell likes to be in it. I love that. I love somebody who loves what they're doing, and it did not seem like Deborah Cox was loving what she was doing on that stage at all. The guy that they had playing Frank, who was played by Kevin Costner in the movie, that man sounded just like Kevin Costner. It was almost to as if they were trying to get people's whose voices matched the people's voices in the movie. Because he sounded just like Kevin Costner. And there were some points in the movie that, in the musical, that Deborah Cox sounded like Whitney Houston's voice. So there's, as far as like the dialogue was concerned. I am burning up in my car. But that man looked like he was her granddaddy. Like he looked too old of a character to be playing her love interest in this doggone play. But yeah, that was the the villain, the guy who was out trying to kill Rachel. I don't know if the man could act or not. He didn't have not one single line spoke in the whole. Oh, my dad, he did speak. He was speaking to Fletcher. He had 2 lines. Oh my gosh. I kept saying he didn't have no lines. He had 2 lines when he spoke to Fletcher, trying to figure out where Rachel's room was at. I forgot all about that part. But he was a horrible actor. I don't, if I go through my playbill, maybe I'll get his name. But he was bad. Yeah, I don't know. He was bad. So he was Bad College Girls, DJ, Nikki, the Douglas, Rory, Cy, Fletcher, the Stalker. The Stalker was Kevlin B. Jones III. Is that right? No, that was Fletcher. Jorge Paniagua. Jorge Paniagua, brother, you need to work on your acting skills. You need to go take some improv classes, because Jorge, and this may just be stage direction, they wanted you to be this way. It was like watching a mime, a bad mime, somebody that was a more robotic, like they was made out of tin and they had rusted and he could barely move. He was such a bad mime in his role. Some of his parts, I was like, was that really needed? Like, why is he doing that? That was so stupid. It was just, this was a bad production. And yesterday, one of my clients on my at my office, she's not at my office, but one of the clients that I go visit, I was telling her, me and her always talk about what I'm gonna do for the weekend. And she's a white lady, and we were talking about it, and she said, oh, I heard that was so bad. And I didn't want to believe her. I'm telling you, I did not want to believe her because she was white. I was like, you just probably don't like the Bodyguard. That's what I was thinking, but I don't like the Bodyguard. So today when I go back there and talk to her, I'm gonna have to tell her, girl, yes, she was right. I was wrong to assume that you didn't know what you're talking about because she was a white girl. Baby, this was a bad production. I don't know how this made it onto Broadway with these people casting this role, or with this script written as such. But I'm assuming that the white people in the theater, I'm very observant. They seem to like it somewhat. While they were singing, you never know, because they always wait till you finish singing. Black people, when people are singing and it's a song that you feel, and we into it, we singing a song, we doing all that. All the black people in the theater, I noticed, were not involved. When we walked out the theater, we looked at each other like, good night, y'all. That's exactly how I felt. It was such a bad production. If you are into theater and you had an opportunity to go see The Bodyguard, the musical, I will recommend against it. I will. If you have a season pass to The Bodyguard on your Fox Theater Broadway series purchase, I will trade it in for another production. Like, I know we have Chicago coming up, we have Phantom of the Opera coming up, and I wanted to see one of those too. I was gonna trade in like the Gloria Estefan one for one of those two. I wish I had traded in The Bodyguard for one of those, and that way I could have saw both of them instead of just having to choose between one or the other. Because I want to go see The King and I, and I want to see The School of Rock and Hamilton and Color Purple. I want to see all of those. But that was bad. I give it a thumbs down. I do. And that's totally aside from the movie. It did not make me want to go watch the movie. My girlfriend was like, I need to go home and watch the movie now. So, because this was one of my favorite movies, and this has now put such a bad taste in my head about the movie that I love so dearly. And I'm like, this was horrible. I thought the movie was horrible, and I don't know. I was asking her, is this supposed to be like this? Like, the sister, there was one point the sister said that she was responsible for the stalker because she wrote him back when he first reached out to her. And I'm thinking, if you wrote the stalker back when he first reached out, then y'all already know who he is and where he is. How you get the stalker's address to write him back, girl? But then nobody know who he is and can't find him. Girl, bye. Bye, y'all. I'm about to go to work. Y'all have a good one. This is My Twisted Life of Poetry, a theater review. Just because I felt like it. Peace.